Hey, how's it going? This is Justin Hampton. I'm showing off a preview of my book that's about to debut in May. It's been printed and it was funded successfully on Kickstarter. And I'm going to give you a look at the interior of the book and talk about it as I go. So let's take a look. Okay, today we're taking a look at my book Visual Feast, and I'm showing off the advanced copies that I've gotten from the printer in China. These will be arriving in the States mid to late April and will be shipping in May. So I'm going to show you what I have available on my website, justinhampton.com, that you can pre-order now. This is the two different versions. These are both the slipcases. The one on the left is the $100 book. It has a slipcase with this artwork, which is a kind of twisted Alice in Wonderland with Alice posing above the feast. And this edition is 150. This is the limited edition. This is signed and numbered edition of 1,000, and this is available for 150. So I'm going to show you this one. Here's the slipcase. You can see the cool gloss varnish on this thing against the matte background, as well as the difference between this kind of dual matte and this gloss effect that's just in the gloss itself, this pattern, this flourish. Let's take a look at the book itself. So here we go. As you can see, the pattern repeats itself here on this version. But here's a take a look at the book. On the inside, I've got some quotes by different folks. I've been very lucky to work with some very talented individuals, and also lucky to have gotten quotes from these folks. I've got some from other peer artists, Jermaine Rogers, Emick, Monk One, the late Frank Kozik. I've also got quotes from folks that I've done posters for, including Danger Mouse, Kim Thale from Soundgarden, Jeff Ament from Pearl Jam, both Gene and Dean Ween from the band Ween, and Shepard Fairey gave me a quote. So I've been blessed to have lots of support, and like I said, this was funded on Kickstarter, and I'm very lucky to have been able to pull this thing off on my own terms. I literally am publishing this, I designed this, I laid everything out, I wrote everything. This is my brainchild and baby. This is the last 35 years of my history as an artist, 30 years of which as a rock poster artist. The folks that got the deluxe edition, which is no longer available, edition of 50, they all got their names listed in the indicia. So if you got one of those, lucky you, and congratulations for scooping one up. So here's my biography, some quotes from folks, which is really nice. Forward by Art Chantry. He's a famous graphic designer from the Northwest. My introduction by the late Mark Lanigan, who I had a working relationship with for the last decade before he passed away. Some of my favorite works that I've done to date were during that period with working directly with Mark. I could just talk to him on the phone and we would work stuff out. He would send me a preview of his music that he was working on, and I got to listen to it before anyone else did. And it was an absolute thrill. I miss him, and I wish he was here to see this thing finished. He got a preview of it digitally, but it's come a ways since then. But I'm very proud to have worked with him and to also have that in this book. So we go into the early days, back in Seattle, arriving in '87. I was there for the entire grunge heyday. This is my very first flyer that I did for our art school project that wound up on some telephone poles, again by my own doing, and was also seen in the documentary-ish Montage of Heck. I let them use this. And this was a photograph taken by Charles Peterson, famous photographer from the Northwest. He took this photo at the show, and I was at the show here with my friends Mike and my brother Blue. So really cool to have this in the book, and the fact that Charles would let me use it's amazing. So some early day stuff. I was an extra in the movie Singles, and this talks about that whole thing in just a moment in time. It was fun to be there. Student work from going to art school, probably my first rock poster as a student in, like, I don't know, 87, 88. What if the Who were living in a different alternate reality where the Egyptians had never lost power. So the Who was an Egyptian-style band. Anyway, kind of fun. The irony of that is 30-some years later, I ended up doing a poster for the Who, which is kind of neat. My early comic book days, both doing inking and coloring, as well as drawing my own stuff with Dennis Eichhorn, a writer, very much like kind of Bukowski meets Hunter S. Thompson. My comic Twitch, just highlights. My comic Rats, back with the underground scene in Seattle with other well-known, especially now, much more well-known artists. This is when I was doing that stuff in the Rocket Magazine, music magazine back in the day that covered all things music in the Northwest, including the grunge scene. So this is the early stuff when I was first getting started. You can see it's a lot more raw than my current stuff. And this continues and goes into work for other magazines, working for the screen printer that printed most of the grunge era bands t-shirts. Him and another printer, Jeff Ross, were there at that moment, and they were the guys. And I worked for Jim, doing designs that ended up being put on Soundgarden shirts, another Soundgarden shirt, Alice in Chains, another Soundgarden shirt for a band called Image, Sister Psychic. And then I get to my poster days, which began in 93, black and whites, and then 84, my first screen print. So this goes on. It shows sketches to finish on a lot of these. And I also go into stories about various posters and the creation and what my idea was, and thumbnail sketch to finish again. And this one you can see 2 thumbnail sketches from my sketchbook that go to finish. And my first big poster for PJ Harvey and the way that I created it back in the analog days with a color comp and cutting Rubylith overlays for them, which later changed to doing the separations on computer. But this is the old days. This is Gen X strong, way back when. No apologies. This is my story, and I'm very much a part of that. White Zombie Pantera, Blur, Everclear. Anyway, this thing is huge, as you can see. It is a giant tome of a book. I show work I did for logos, for advertising, illustration, freelance, album art, gaming work for Hitman trilogy, work I did for various magazines, including Rolling Stone for the Record Review, for White Stripes, Elephant back in the day, 2003. But yeah, I've done a lot of work, and I got it all collected here. And then 2000 on, again, it's a lot of posters from 2000 on, last 25 years. It goes into various relationships with bands, with band members, including Lemmy Kilmister from Motorhead. I knew him personally through working with him and creating posters for his band, and stories about the first time I met him. And yeah, this thing, like I said, it's vast. So photos, behind the scenes, working for various bands, Ministry, Audio Slave, just goes on and on. MC5, met Bo Diddley, Queens of the Stone Age, a whole section on the posters I did for them. I created 31 posters for them over the years. And yeah, so there's a lot here. Some Primus. Anyway, check this out. This is available on my website. You can order it now, shipping in May. And yeah, feast your eyes on the visual feast, as it were, section on working with Mark. But yeah, take a gander, and if it moves you to pick one up, I think you probably should put this in your collection. I'm very pleased to finally have this out and showing people what I've done. So thanks for taking a look, and I hope that you pick up a copy. All right, thanks for taking a look.